it just me, or would have been perfect if this movie had been released, you know, like 4 years ago, just after Civil War, because it would have made so much more sense. But yeah, we finally get Black Widow from Marvel, and do you know what? Really good. Straight off the bat, I'm going to say it was very good. I really enjoyed it. It's one of the stronger entries of the MCU. You know, storyline wise, it was very intriguing. You know, the whole thing that we're going to get to. Don't worry. The action, incredible. CGI, majority of it was brilliant. It just all round great. You know, the acting, the characters, everything, all round the standard that you want from an MCU movie. And it's not your typical MCU movie either. It's more your kind of spy espionage, and it's got a. There was a lot of swear words in it. I don't know if that's like a big thing, but when it comes to Disney and Marvel, I noticed quite a few swear words in this, and it actually kind of threw me off during my watching experience. But yeah, it's a great movie. But again, if only we got it a few years earlier, it would have made so much more sense. But yeah, the story here is it's set not long after Civil War. You know, the bad guys, which were Black Widow, Captain America, they're both on the run. Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and others are locked away in prison. But yeah, Natasha Romanoff is on the run from Shield, the government, and she's hiding now, and she comes across a case that her sister had stolen, a case of these red vials that can stop these Black Widows being Black Widows. So obviously we know what Black Widow is. We know that she was brought up in this kind of Russian espionage school where they teach these girls to be super spies and assassins. And her younger sister that we find out, who's not really her sister, they was on a mission together and they posed as sisters when they were younger. She has been given this vial and she's kind of clear and her head's clear and she's no longer under the mind control of this Russian super arsehole, I suppose, named Dreykov. So she's sent the vials to her sister Natasha, Black Widow. Now, a lot of the time I was thinking to myself, Dreykov, I know that name. Where do I know Dreykov? And they even referenced Dreykov's daughter. And the whole time I was thinking, where have I heard that before? Where have I heard that before? And I remember it's all the way back from Avengers 1, where Loki mentions it to Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, and he mentions Dreykov's daughter, and it upsets Black Widow.
Can you wipe out that much red? Dreykov's daughter? Sao Paulo? The hospital fire?
So now we're starting to get some context and understand where that comes from and what that means, because it's showing us, you know, not so much the origins of Black Widow, but, you know, her beginnings and where she is now after Civil War, you know, many years ago when she was still alive. That's one of the main things, you know, that we kind of have to take with this movie. You know, there's never going to be any stakes, and never going to be any worry about her fate, because we know that she survives and she goes on to, you know, Infinity War and Endgame. Spoiler alert, she dies in Endgame. But yeah, so she teams back up with her sister and she finds out that Dreykov, who she thought she had killed so that she could finally join Shield, was still alive and still creating these Black Widows in this red room. So she goes on a mission with her sister to track him down and stop this. Now, all of that sounds very convoluted. It's all very complicated, but it's basically just down to the fact that Natasha finally wants the closure, and she wants to move on from her previous life where she had a lot of red in her ledger, a lot of blood on her name. She wants to move on and finally become a part of, you know, mainstream society in the Avengers. You know, it's not really mainstream, but this is what she's doing. So she goes back to try and find Dreykov and finally kill him. So she tracks down her dad. So I just need to mention, at the very beginning of the film, we see a flashback. It's young Natasha and her younger sister. Again, these are all separate agents that have all been put together for a mission. Their dad, Alexei, who turns out to be Red... Oh, I can't remember his name. I kept forgetting his name because I kept referencing him as different things. It's Red Dynamo or something. Red Patriot. Red. He's a big, strong Russian guy who it's not actually said that he has a super serum, but he's very strong and very quick. So I'm assuming that he does, and he's often referencing Captain America and how much he would, win in a fight with Captain America. And their mum, played by Rachel Weisz, who is a kind of a big level tech wizard when it comes to the whole Black Widow regime. So yeah, they're on a mission at the very beginning, then they all get split up, and the young girls get put into the Red Room, into the training simulator thing. So yeah, they track down their dad and break him out of prison because he's now in prison after betraying Dreykov. So they do this big elaborate set piece where they break him out of prison, which again is all very exciting, all very adventurous. Every single action scene in this movie, very fast paced, very quick, and very action heavy, and it's all very exciting. It's all really interesting, and I loved every single piece of it. This movie kind of goes from action set piece to a lot of dialogue and a lot of to and froing and here and there, and then straight into another action sequence, and it's all great. It's all it doesn't leave you bored, but it doesn't leave you too overwhelmed when it comes to all the action, which is a great recipe to have, especially with these kind of movies. It's very hard to get that balance right, but I believe they really did do it well in this movie. The whole thing was just from start to finish, no part of it dragged, and no part of it was too much, and no part of it was not enough. It was all very well done. Yeah, they break him out of prison. They decide to go and find their mum to finally find out where the Red Room is, because it's been such a secret place. No one could find it, this Red Room. Where is it? And they even say, Natasha Romanoff's younger sister, Yelena, she says that it keeps moving. No one knows where it is. So maybe the mum knows, but she does know. She kind of turns her back on them. It turns out she's still very much in cahoots with these people. And this whole elaborate plot rises where they end up in the Red Room, but it's kind of like a sky prison. It's a floating fortress, I suppose. And they end up going there to confront Dreykov. They capture Black Widow. She goes into a prison cell, but it turns out that's not Black Widow. That's actually the mum. I can't remember her name. It's really driving me mad. They switch places and put face masks on. So the mum goes in to meet with Dreykov and basically says, we've got Black Widow down there. But Dreykov realises that it's Black Widow pretty much straight away, because he kind of gives this line like, when you raise someone, you look in their eyes, you know who they are. And straight away, he sussed out who it was. Now, I must mention, Dreykov is played by Ray Winstone. That's right, London tough guy Ray Winstone. Now, he has a Russian accent throughout this movie. Very convincing, it's a very good Russian accent. All the Russian accents in this are passable. They're all there, and they all work. But with him, you can just still hear underlining sounds of that sort of London geezer that he is, and it's not off-putting. It's actually quite funny when you think about it in the background of your mind, that this is Ray Winstone. He's like the hardest man to come out of London, and he's playing a Russian. And it's funny if you just kind of put it to one side, switch your brain off. It's actually quite funny. But yeah, he works out that this is Black Widow. He takes off her face mask and he basically says, you can't hurt me. There's a thing in your brain that if you can smell me, you can't hurt me. It's all very strange, this whole espionage, brainwashing sort of scenario. So Black Widow can't hurt him, but then she reveals that if she breaks a part of her brain, she can hurt him, so she headbutts a table. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, she ends up beating him up, and eventually she does kill him in this big explosion. Now, obviously, this whole plot is a lot more built out than what I'm giving you, but I'm just giving you the kind of plot points that really sprung to mind, and just how interesting I found it and how exciting I found it. I'm not doing it enough justice. It's worth every single penny to go out and watch this. You know, it is now in theatres. You can also pay for it on Disney Plus. I highly recommend doing either because it is worth it.
You have to go back to where it all started, so they never do that to anyone again.
We're a family. We fight with you.
Running parallel with all of this storyline, the whole plot that I've just kind of summarised in this brief little review, which again is great and it works, was the addition of Taskmaster, a character I was very much looking forward to because this character can mimic the people that he's fighting. He can read them and he can work out the way that they fight and combat them the same and, you know, reverse them and do better. And it's a very interesting character and I was very much looking forward to this being on the big screen. You barely see the character. It's crazy. You know, he's been so much at the forefront of the promotional stuff and he's in it for maybe 6-7 minutes tops. The parts where the character was in it, great, absolutely unbelievable. I loved it. And the whole guessing game of who the character was, because again, throughout the whole of the promotion, they never revealed the actor playing this character because they wanted it to be a mystery. Because the whole time you're watching this movie and you see this character on screen, you're thinking, who is it? Who is this character that can copy all of the Avengers? You know, at one point he fires a bow and arrow. Hawkeye. He throws a shield. Captain America. He has claws. Black Panther. And it's just every single piece about this character, you're just thinking, this is great. This is unbelievable. Now, the twist of who it was is very interesting. I did not see it coming until the very last second because I hope it wasn't just because I was very tired, but it just wasn't telegraphed and it wasn't that obvious. So I really appreciated it. Spoiler alert, it was Dreykov's daughter. The whole time we've been referencing Dreykov's daughter who died in the explosion that was supposed to have killed Dreykov. I do this a lot. It turns out that she survived. Dreykov put a mind-washing chip in the back of her neck and controlled her and basically raised her to be this ultimate fighting killer. So yeah, it turned out to be Dreykov's daughter. Again, I didn't see it coming. It was a nice little twist and a nice little surprise, but I don't know, something in the back of my head was just sort of saying, I wish it was someone different. I wish it was a bigger sort of surprise, especially when it comes to the whole of the MCU. But it was great character and I really enjoyed it.
And a lot of enemies. His call sign's Taskmaster.
Now, I'm just going to briefly touch on the end credit scene because, you know, it's an MCU movie. There is an end credit scene. Florence Pugh's character. Again, Florence Pugh is absolutely brilliant in this movie. I can't fault her for anything. Natasha's younger sister, Yelena. She is at the gravestone of Natasha Romanoff. Now, I did not see the way that it went coming, but I loved the swerve because I thought it was going to go another way. And I guess a lot of fans would have seen it going another way. She's standing at the gravestone and she does her little whistle because her and her sister, they have this little whistle. One of them whistles and the other one replies in a different tune. It's just their kind of little sisterly bond that they have going on. So Yelena, she does this whistle and I'm expecting the other whistle to come because I think that's the obvious answer and that's the obvious route that you think they're going to go down, but that's not the way that they go. They actually bring in the agent. I can't remember her name, but she was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where she takes over John Walker towards the end and he becomes American Assassin or whatever his name is. It's her, it's this agent, and she's kind of taken over Yelena's sort of work, I suppose, and she's taken Yelena and setting her on this path of being an assassin still. I'm not quite 100% sure, but she comes up to her and she says, I've got you a new job. I've got you a new target. It is the person that killed your sister. And she hands her a tablet and you look at the tablet. Spoiler alert. Clint Barton, Hawkeye. They're putting Natasha Romanoff's younger sister up against Hawkeye, which is great. Absolutely, you know, again, did not see that coming. Completely swerved. I love that. I love that. The fact that I did not see it coming. And also the fact that we're getting this Hawkeye TV show coming up. So it's all going to be connected. I don't know why it's taken this long to kind of get to this point, but I'm glad it's happening and I'm glad that we're progressing forward with this MCU, even though we've had to go back a few years to kind of fill in some gaps. But I'm glad they're filling in those gaps because it was well deserved and it was well put together, and it's kind of made the whole MCU that little bit more interesting. Again, great movie. Wish it came a few years earlier, but I'm glad we finally got it.
Okay, you got a plan, or shall I just stay duck and cover?
My plan was to drive us away.
Well, your plan sucks.
So yeah, there's my thoughts on the MCU, Disney Marvel, Black Widow, which finally come out. Scarlett Johansson, absolutely incredible in this role. She made it her own. I hope some way they do kind of get her to come back, you know, in some capacity. But again, if she doesn't, this is a great way for her to go out. And, you know, she done absolutely brilliant with the role and with the job. Everyone in this movie was great. The whole thing was just top notch for me. I really enjoyed it from start to finish. What did you think though? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's have a conversation about Black Widow and where it leaves us now in the MCU going forward, because again, that twist at the end, where are we going? Thank you for watching. You know, like and subscribe, and, you know, hit the bell notification so you can watch all my other videos, all my other reviews that I'm doing. I'm sorry I've not been around lately. It's been very hectic at home, but I am here to finally talk to you about nonsense and Black Widow. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.
Here's what's gonna happen.
Natasha, don't slouch.
I'm not slouching.
You're going to get a back hunch.
Listen to your mother.
Oh my God, this.
Up.
All right, enough, all of you.
I didn't say anything. That's not fair.